I bet you could be charging way more money. If you like doing the one-to-one work and you're a coach, teacher, guide, mentor, and like most people, you charge by the hour or you charge by how many sessions somebody gets with you, we are missing a trick. There's a more creative way to do this, and we can actually just, create so much more impact and transformation and give people way better results if we think a little bit differently about it. I would like to teach today how to design what I would call mentorships, really. So if we understand what's the meaning of a mentor versus a coach or a teacher. Mentor is somebody who's already walked the path and has like some of the cheat codes to the path, and is still probably on their professional path, walking that. A coach is somebody who, that's really a technique, a way of being present with somebody and helping them come to their own natural conclusions, answers, unlocking their potential. And so I would classify myself as a mentor coach because I'm bringing the expertise as the mentor because I've walked the path. But I'm also bringing the skill set of a coach to the table. And then a teacher is somebody who can design a really a really helpful sequential curriculum and process for somebody to step through. So you might call yourself a mentor, coach, teacher, guide, oracle. So we're going to think about these as mentorships that you're inviting people into, but there'll be an element of teaching and coaching in them. And we're going to think creatively about it. And by thinking, and what I mean by that is that we're going to reverse engineer from the result that somebody's looking for. So the most important conversation you're going to have with somebody, if they want to do work with you, you always have a conversation with them first. You don't just let them book on your calendar. You want to chat with them, because not everybody should get access to your energy one-to-one either. So we have a conversation, and all we have to do in that conversation is understand their true goal and their true problem and what life will look like if they overcome that problem and achieve that goal. From there, we design this lovely container, journey, process, mentorship that we bring them into over 6 months, a year, 2 years, that will get them to their destination and that will help them become the kind of person who can overcome those blocks and problems. So today I'm going to teach you a process of coming up with your own special mentorship that you can offer. But I will say that it's better to design these reactively, actually, so that you just have a conversation with them, listen. So somebody inquires with you, you listen to them, you understand what they need, you understand what they need to overcome. And then you think, okay, how could I show up and serve them? What could I create for them? And then you just do that over and over again, and you'll notice that there's a pattern in what you tend to offer. But for today, let's just expand our imagination on what's possible and how much you could offer it for and how fun it could be to deliver. And let's just have it in our back pocket, and we'll walk around in the world with this very valuable thing that we can offer somebody who needs it. Okay, so we're going to start with your unique ability. Now I'm going to move really fast through this, so you pause throughout the video and you should be like writing this stuff down and brainstorming. So unique ability is a term coined by a man named Dan Sullivan, and it's made up of 4 parts. You understand what is your superior skill. We need to understand what is your passion. We need to understand what gives you energy, and we need to understand what is your area of never-ending improvement, your geekery, as in what are you nerdy about. For something to sell, you need to be really good at it and better than your competition at doing it. You need to really like it and be into it and be passionate about it. People will feel that energy from you, that enthusiasm, and there needs to be a market for it. There needs to be people who actually want it. So, okay, your superior skill, really think about beyond just your job and your coaching. What are your superior skills? What are you just really good at? It comes naturally to you. People compliment you on it and they're like, oh my God, how do you, it's just, that's amazing. And you're like, that's easy for me. I don't get why you are so impressed by that. That is a superior skill. It's innate to you, or maybe it's learned. It's intangible or tangible. It's like, it could be a hard skill, or it could be an intangible thing. Maybe you're just a great listener and you've this wonderful, compassionate empathy and a great way of really being able to put yourself in other people's shoes. Or else you're like a very creative mind. You love brainstorming. You're great at seeing other perspectives and coming up with solutions. You could be just fantastic at sequencing and organizing things. You are a brilliant problem solver. You are, that kind of thing. So have a little think about that. Superior skill, passion. What are you excited about? I love. It's like when that topic of conversation comes up, you're like, yes, let's talk about this. If we start talking about reading body language and human behavior, I'm like very excited to chat. I'm also super passionate and moved by this topic of like helping people really identify their value, articulate their value, and then advocate for it, like charge accordingly. I love doing that. And I love teaching just the hard skills of sales and marketing to women as their source of certainty. Like it can feel really uncertain running your own business. And I'm like, well, if you know how to sell and market, you're always going to be okay. So as you can see, that's something I'm passionate about. What are you passionate about? Day-to-day life, what gives you energy, what takes away your energy? Maybe like being in front of a big group is just so energizing for you, and you would leave that session buzzing on a high, and it gets you into a flow state. So stuff that puts you into a flow state. I love sitting down to write songs, and that gives me energy. Or I love video editing. Like I'll really enjoy editing this now, and also learning about my talking and how I'm talking and wanting to improve that. We don't need to talk about me. I need to stop talking about me. Oh my God. You get the point. Never-ending improvement. This is part of my never-ending improvement is like communication. Again, I'm doing it again. I don't want to talk about myself as much as I do on these videos, and I always give myself as an example, but I think sometimes I'm just like getting things off my chest. So think about the things that you are always curious about, always nerdy about. I work with a lot of vocal coaches and they just cannot stop figuring out the voice. They are hounds for it in the loveliest way. So what is your area of interest there, special interest? Step 2 is what will be like such a cool, fun way to deliver the work. Like, does it just suit you down to the ground to be on Zoom on calls? Is that like the way you like to go? Or would you like to be in a room around a big table crafting with others, and that's how you'd like to deliver your coaching? Or would you like to be outside having a lovely walk, letting some of the landscape do the heavy lifting in the conversation? Would you like to invite people over to your part of the world? Like I live in Ireland on the south coast. It's absolutely magical. Very proud to be Irish and to be from this part of the world. Would love to be in the future. I'd love to invite people over. I think my hesitation there is just the organization of logistics that I'm like, but we'll get there, and I'm sure anyway, that's about me. So I'm on a journey. Another great one was ride-alongs. So I had this coach I worked with who was working with an executive, and he was just having he was getting help from her on his performance and productivity. And she suggested that she come over and hang out with him for a week, because she would advise him on like where he was losing time or energy or focus. And it was easier for her to do that by just observing his working week, because things that he thought were normal and natural were actually things that were really slowing him down and bogging him down. She noticed that he had nothing in terms of slowness in his week. See, a lot of his his workout was a high intensity workout. Everything was high intensity about how he was moving through his days. So she got him to include like a walk without any digital inputs. What else did she do? She got him to do walking meetings instead of, well, some walking meetings. She got him to do like a qigong practice. put a lot of slowness into the week, and then that actually turned out to be the thing that he needed to perform better and be clearer and be more present. And so she really enjoyed that process of being like the scientist, watching him go about his day and giving him that feedback. So that's a way that you can deliver the work. I think like there was somebody else I advised to like go be in the workshop with, so it was with a choir conductor. I'm like, go in and watch them conduct, be in it with them, rather than just having these conversations about it. Or for me, I like to look at recordings of calls that people are doing so that I can analyze it and help them see where they're probably talking too much or not asking the right question or missing some stuff that's happening in their client, in terms of their like non-verbals, their body language, and training them on picking that stuff up. And I love the asynchronous communications. I love voice memoing and texting my clients. I had somebody just go into a pitch call there, and she was kind of like, well, I do this, this, and this. And I'm like, whoa, hang on. And so I was able to like really steer it and clear it up. And the sale just went through. The person has signed up for her coaching. And it's just great that I was able to nab her just before she went in and clarify it all and get her really ready. So I like being available in those moments for my clients. Something that's proven incredibly valuable for clients that I'm working with is their existing network and the people that they can get to collaborate with them on offers. Many clients I'm working with, because I was a singer, are singers. So a lot of them are getting like a band in to work with one of their students, their clients, on a recording project, or maybe they have a recording studio, maybe they have a producer or a songwriting coach. Many of them, they have partners who are producers or songwriting coaches or musicians, and they're bringing them into the fold to create a more valuable offer, a more supported offer. And people can really, like, it's so unique and special and contained. So like, who's in your network? Who could you bring in? How can you, like, there are things, like, we really take those things for granted. Some of us who are much more advanced and have been on our path for 10 to 15 years, we've built up an incredible network of people. And there's all that trust there. And yeah, they can come in and take things to another level in terms of the value we can offer. I have virtual assistants. So I have somebody who does graphic design and video editing for me, who I've been working with for 5 years. And I have a admin assistant, and she helps me with Facebook ads as well. And I've been working with her for about 4 or 5 years as well. And so as part of the work that I do, I don't charge for them. Like, I cover the cost of them myself. And then when I'm working with somebody, if we need to do something to the website, I'm able to go, look, just add my assistant in as an admin and she'll tidy that up for us, or add my other assistant as the admin on your ads and she'll set that all up for you. And it's so lovely that, like, I've got that in my team to bring that support, and that we don't need to be like saying, oh, then that's extra and you got to pay her and blah blah blah. It's just like, I'm just one fee for the year and I've got what you need to take care of us and get us to the end goal. So hopefully that gives you lots of food for thought. Maybe you'll have other expanded ideas outside of that, and we want to think about like one-to-one retreats. Why aren't we doing more of them? I have another, God, I could talk about all of this for ages. There's somebody else who loves hosting people in her house, so she brings clients over to her house to spend the weekend together and hang out and write music. So yeah, whatever tickles your fancy, think really creatively about it. Now, what kind of transformation do you want to sell? What's the change you want to see in the world? What's the pain you want to take away? What's the heartbreak that you may have experienced on your path that you don't want somebody else to experience unsupported? What are the mistakes you've learned from, the things you want to protect people from, the the possibilities that they're not even tuned into that could be possible for them too. So we want to think about the transformation. So start there. Think about, what is the pain I want to take away in the world? What do I see in the world that people shouldn't have to suffer from, shouldn't have to go through? This isn't right. I don't want this to happen anymore, and I want to make it right with the work that I do. So that's one lens. And then it's more focused on the results you want to create. Like, what's the too good to be true that nobody has clicked with yet? This is me. This is this thing here, what I'm doing right now. This is like, I'm like, why isn't everybody pricing for transformation, for the outcome, and creating these magical mentorships that are just bespoke and wonderful and fun to deliver and so effective and transformative and brilliant? And why isn't everybody charging more money? Because they're now offering something that's like 10 times more valuable than just sessions. So, what's your version of that? What's that thing that you're like, God, just let me roll up my sleeves and support somebody in getting this outcome. So once you have clarity around the outcome, and the outcome could be like release their debut album, book their first exhibition, put on the one woman show. I work with a lot of creatives. What else is there? Yeah, build a business that gives them the income they need and the financial freedom they need, but is working with people that they're so excited to work with. And they've loads of free time now as well. That's what I do. So then what's the outcome of that work? How does their life change? What's the ripple effect? Like the confidence, the person they become. The next step is, I think we're on step 4 now. The next step is, what's the journey? What's the process of moving towards this transformation? Let's say it is the album. You want to put your first album out into the world. So we're going to have to write the songs. We're going to have to find a producer. We're going to have to figure out how to promote it. And so the first part of the journey could be just artist identity. Who am I? What do I want to say? What do I even like? The second part of the process could be, how am I going to develop and hone a practice? What feels right for me? And experimenting with that, and then getting lots of feedback about the content that's coming out with your mentor. Am I going to have to learn how to produce and develop some skills there? Maybe develop some accompanying skills on the piano. My lyric writing is going to need to improve. So that's another part of the journey. And then like, how am I going to get to this place of selecting what's going to go on the album? How am I going to get the musicians together? What recording studio will I choose? What producer? Getting into that headspace of being ready to like show up and perform really well and be in the moment. Like, such a beautiful journey to go through. But you as the mentor really need to be able to see that in phases, and like how the beginning of really connecting to their taste and who they are and what they want to say has to be there, so that they are in their leadership throughout it, that it's all coming from them going forward. We can't just skip to the bit where we go to the studio, or skip to the bit where we're locking in the practice. So you need to understand the beginning, the middle and the end, and maybe have a little bit of awareness of the terrain and the twists and turns and the things that are going to come up for people emotionally. So much of this is just containing people emotionally, because their mind is going to get involved and tell them stories on why, because the mind doesn't want the status quo to change. It doesn't want things to become different. So as soon as we start expanding, we create storylines around why we shouldn't and why it's not going to work. And you as the mentor coach are there to keep them believing and keep the self-belief going when the setbacks happen, when things aren't going their way, when things are getting hard. So the next part of this, now that you have have clarity around the goal and the transformation, can you just write down for yourself, what's the process? What's phase 1, 2 and 3? Beginning, middle and end. What's the journey? What's the road? So step 5 is prerequisites. This is, what does somebody need to have had experienced before they're ready to get into a mentorship with you? life experiences, things they've learned, courses they've taken, things they've tried that in the end didn't get them what they were looking for. You know, there's just like lessons they have needed to learn to get to the point where they're like, oh yeah, what I need is a mentor to bring me through this. And also the kind of person you want to work with, the traits. I definitely work better with somebody who's, I suppose there's trust there. They're open, they're enthusiastic, or they're positive. It's very hard to build a business without a good dose of optimism. Like, you can't be too cynical. There could be therapy that you feel like somebody needed to have had, certain levels of self-awareness. So now finally, last question, how much is this going to cost? How are you going to price this? So don't be adding up things now and, oh, if we do that over a year and there's this many sessions and they have this way on WhatsApp, and do you mind any of that? What is the outcome again? The transformation. Let's say we'll go back to that example of release your debut album that you're really proud of. That's really you. What is that worth to somebody? And you sit with that and you wonder about it. You might go for a long walk and go, what is that actually worth to somebody? What would somebody pay to, they've been sitting on this for 10 years. They've been singing other people's music for their whole career, and they've never had the courage to put their own thing out there. And you finally given them the container and the pathway that they needed all along to make it happen. What is that worth to them? And so a number might pop into your head. And I know that might seem a bit like woo-woo, but it just does. And I'm thinking about it right now, and the number that popped into my head was £20,000. And then you want to think about, okay, how inclusive is that? Am I going to cover the studio for them? Am I going to book the musicians for them? If I'm going to do that, maybe it needs to be 30,000. So then you start kind of figuring out around that price point, depending on what you want to include or not include. And you can offer options. Like, I can do an all-inclusive, everything is done, everything's covered for 30k. The whole album is done, and I'm going to mentor you through the whole process. And that literally might be it will be somebody's dream come true. I have clients making similar offers for 15,000. It's only a matter of time until they're making offers of up to 30,000 or 40,000 for something like that. Now I have clients making offers for 2,000 or 5,000. You will find your number, but I really want you to find that number by starting from that place of, what is that outcome? What is that transformation worth to that person? And then figure out, okay, but I'd need to include, and there'd be this many. You can kind of get a little bit more logistical about it from there and move the price around a little bit, but ground it in the transformation, in the outcome. You have the nuts and bolts now of how to design that dream mentorship offer. You're going to put it in your back pocket. You're going to be out in the world, and you're going to let yourself be awake and aware to the opportunities to make that offer to somebody who you'd love to work with. If you want to be in my school group, we hang out on calls most weeks. I just show up. We have conversations that are really open. Sometimes we do workshops. It's lovely. Great gang of women in there. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.